Hello everyone, and welcome to my B&B For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It was supposed to be a quiet morning at Il Giardino, the kind of golden Los Angeles day where sunlight filtered through the olive trees and laughter drifted from tables filled with regulars. But the world had shifted in a single, earth-shattering instant. Hope Logan stood frozen in the middle of the restaurant, her hand trembling as she clutched the DNA test paper that had just fallen from the manila envelope she tore open seconds earlier. Her heart was pounding so violently she could hear it in her ears, drowning out every other sound. Across the room, Deacon Sharp looked up from where he was cleaning a glass behind the bar, unaware that his entire world was about to implode. "Deacon," Hope's voice cracked as she took a shaky step forward, her eyes wide with disbelief, fury, and heartbreak. You're the father of Luna's baby." The words sliced through the air like a blade, silencing the entire restaurant. Every customer, every server, every passing second seemed to freeze in place. The glass Deacon was holding slipped from his fingers and shattered on the floor. "What?" he whispered hoarsely, his face draining of color. "Hope, what are you talking about?" Hope's hands shook violently as she shoved the paper toward him. "Don't lie to me, Dad. Don't you dare. I have the DNA results right here. Luna's baby, the one she's been protecting, the one everyone thought belonged to someone else, it's yours." Her voice broke, tears spilling down her cheeks as the reality of what she'd just said crashed into her. Deacon blinked, his mind spinning. He had known Luna, of course. He'd helped her once when she was struggling after her release from jail, offering her a job, a chance to rebuild. But the idea that he could be the father of her child? It was impossible. It had to be a mistake. "No," he stammered, his voice barely audible. That's not true, Hope. It can't be. I never," but Hope cut him off, her voice trembling with rage. "Don't you dare deny it. The results are right here, and they're conclusive. You're the father, Deacon. You." At that very moment, the door to the restaurant swung open and in walked Brooke Logan, her expression bright and casual, until she saw Hope's tear-streaked face and Deacon's ashen one. "What's going on?" she demanded, her voice edged with alarm. Hope turned toward her mother, the paper still in her trembling hands. "Mom, you're not going to believe this. The DNA test, it proves that Luna's baby, it's Dad's." Brooke's eyes widened in utter shock, her hand flying to her mouth. "What?" The single word escaped as a gasp, her mind struggling to process it. She looked from Hope to Deacon, then back again, searching for any sign that this was some cruel misunderstanding. "Deacon," she whispered, "tell me this isn't true." Deacon opened his mouth, but no words came. His throat constricted with guilt and confusion. "Brooke, I swear to you, I don't know how this could have happened," he said finally, his voice cracking. "I helped Luna a few times, but I never." Brooke stepped closer, her expression twisting in disbelief. "Helped her?" "Helped her," she repeated, her tone laced with bitter sarcasm. "Is that what we're calling it now?" Hope's tears turned to anger, her voice rising. "You promised me you'd changed, Dad. You promised you weren't the same man who made mistake after mistake. And now this? Luna's baby?" Meanwhile, across town, Luna Nozawa sat in her apartment, her eyes red and swollen from crying. She knew the results had been sent to Hope, she'd agreed to it. She had wanted the truth out, even though she knew it would destroy everything. When the baby had been born months ago, Luna had stayed silent about the father's identity, claiming she didn't know, that it had been a blur during her most broken days. But deep down, she'd known. She'd known about that night, when she'd gone to Il Giardino late, desperate, drunk, lost. Deacon had found her crying outside, taken her in, given her water, and tried to comfort her. But in the fog of grief and confusion, one reckless decision had changed everything. It had been a night both of them wished they could erase. Now the consequences of that single night were exploding in front of the world. Luna's phone buzzed, Hope's name flashing on the screen. She hesitated, her stomach twisting, then answered. Hope, she said softly. You saw the results, didn't you? There was silence on the other end before Hope's voice came through, trembling with rage. How could you, Luna? How could you let this happen? You slept with my father. Luna squeezed her eyes shut, tears spilling freely now. I never meant for it to happen, Hope. I didn't even realize, don't you dare make excuses. Hope snapped. You knew what you were doing. You ruined everything. Luna's sobs echoed through the phone. Please, just listen to me, she pleaded. It wasn't what you think. I was broken. I'd lost everything. He was just there, trying to help. One thing led to another. Hope hung up, her fury boiling over. She threw the phone onto a nearby table, the sound echoing through the restaurant. She's making excuses, she spat bitterly. They both are. Brooke reached for her daughter's shoulder, but Hope pulled away. No, Mom. Don't. I'm done defending him. He's done enough damage. Deacon's voice cracked as he stepped toward her. Hope, please. I'm not making excuses. I swear I didn't mean for this to happen. I never wanted to hurt anyone. But Hope looked at him with pure heartbreak in her eyes. You always say that, Dad. Every time. And somehow, people always get hurt anyway. Word spread fast. Within hours, the Forresters and Spencers knew. Ridge stormed into Il Giardino later that afternoon, his eyes blazing with fury. Deacon, he barked. Is it true? Are you the father of Luna's baby? Deacon, still reeling, looked up wearily. Ridge, don't you ridge me, Ridge snapped, slamming his hand down on the bar. That girl, Luna, she's part of my family. And you disgusting son of a enough. Brooke cut in sharply, stepping between them. This isn't helping. Ridge glared at her. Don't defend him, Brooke. You always do this, you always try to see the good in men who destroy everything they touch. Deacon's shoulders sagged. He knew there was no defending this. I didn't plan any of this, he said quietly. Luna came to me when she was lost, and I tried to help her. I never thought, never imagined, it would lead here. Ridge scoffed. You expect us to believe that? You've been nothing but trouble from the day you showed up in this town. Hope, who had been silent, suddenly stepped forward, her eyes full of tears. Stop it, Ridge. Just stop. Yelling at him won't change anything. Ridge turned to her, softening slightly. Hope, he hurt you again. He hurt us all. Hope nodded. I know. But I need answers, not more shouting. She turned back to her father. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say something before this came out? Deacon rubbed his forehead, his voice trembling. Because I didn't know for sure. Luna didn't want to say anything. She thought the baby might belong to someone else. And when she found out the truth, she begged me to keep quiet until the test confirmed it. Brooke's voice was soft but sharp. So you kept this from all of us? You let your daughter find out like this? Deacon's eyes filled with tears. I thought I was protecting everyone. I thought you thought wrong, Brooke interrupted, her voice breaking. You always do. Meanwhile, Luna sat alone in her apartment, holding her baby, tiny, innocent, unaware of the chaos surrounding their existence. I'm sorry, she whispered, rocking the infant gently. I didn't mean for this to happen. She remembered Deacon's kindness that night, the way he'd looked at her not with judgment, but with understanding. In another life, maybe things could have been different. But now, there was no undoing what had been done. The next morning, paparazzi swarmed outside Il Giardino. Headlines screamed Deacon Sharp, secret father scandal. Social media exploded. The Forrester family tried to do damage control, but the whispers wouldn't stop. Hope avoided calls from everyone except Brooke, who tried desperately to hold her family together while hiding her own shock. Luna stayed in hiding, terrified to face the world. Deacon, meanwhile, sat alone in the restaurant long after closing, staring at the empty tables, haunted by his own reflection in the window. When Hope finally returned, the air between them was thick with unspoken pain. She sat across from him, her eyes red but calm. "I don't even know who you are anymore," she said quietly. "I've spent years defending you, telling everyone you'd changed. But this?" Her voice cracked. "You've proven them all right." Deacon leaned forward, desperate. "Hope, please. I made a mistake, a terrible one. But I love you. You're my daughter, and that'll never change." Hope's expression hardened. "You don't get to use that word right now. Not after what you've done." Silence hung heavy between them. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of orange and crimson. Finally, Hope stood, her decision made. "I can't do this," she said softly. "Not right now." She walked toward the door, then paused. "Take responsibility for what you've done, Dad. For once in your life, stop hiding from it." Then she was gone. Brooke entered moments later, watching him with tears in her eyes. "You always find a way to destroy everything good in your life," she whispered. Deacon looked up, broken. "Maybe I deserve that," he said quietly. "But that little baby, Luna's baby, didn't ask for any of this. And neither did Hope." Brooke sighed, her voice trembling. "No, they didn't. But it's too late to fix it now." In the weeks that followed, the revelation tore through Los Angeles like wildfire. Luna faced public humiliation, Hope withdrew into herself, and Deacon became the town pariah once again. But beneath the anger and chaos, a strange, painful truth emerged: sometimes the past refuses to stay buried. Sometimes the sins of one night echo louder than a lifetime of good intentions. And yet, in the quiet moments, when Luna rocked her baby to sleep, when Deacon stared at the photo of Hope on his bar, when Brooke prayed for peace in a world that never seemed to stop spinning, there was a flicker of something fragile. Maybe not forgiveness. Not yet. But perhaps, someday, understanding. Because in the end, love and mistakes often come from the same place, the desperate, human need to feel something real in a world built on illusion. For the next several days, the city buzzed like a beehive struck with a stick. Los Angeles thrived on scandal, but this particular revelation, sent shockwaves through every corridor of Forrester Creations, every table at Il Giardino, every whispered phone call between families who'd spent years pretending their lives were picture perfect. Deacon Sharp, father of Luna Nozawa's baby, read the glossy headlines splashed across every tabloid and gossip site. It was the kind of story that didn't just stain reputations, it broke them. Hope Logan sat in her office at Forrester Creations, staring blankly at a sketchpad that had long since lost its meaning. The bright fabrics and hopeful lines that once inspired her hope for the future collection now seemed like mockery. Every fiber of her being ached with betrayal. She'd loved her father, defended him against everyone: Ridge, Steffi, even her mother. "He's changed," she used to insist. "He's finally the man I always wanted him to be." But now, all she could hear were those words she'd screamed in the restaurant, echoing endlessly in her head: "Deacon is the father of Luna's baby." A gentle knock at the door broke her thoughts. "Come in," she said softly. The door opened, and in walked Liam Spencer. He looked hesitant, cautious, as though approaching a wounded animal. "Hope," he said quietly, closing the door behind him. "I saw the news. I wanted to check on you." Hope exhaled, rubbing her temples. "I don't even know what to say anymore, Liam. It feels like everything's falling apart again." He crossed the room and sat across from her. "You've been through worse. You always find a way through." She laughed bitterly. "That's the problem. I'm tired of finding my way through. Why does it always have to be me holding everything together while the men in my life self-destruct?" Liam hesitated, unsure how to answer. Deacon's made a lot of mistakes, he finally said. But maybe there's more to this than we know. Hope shook her head. There isn't. I saw the DNA results, Liam. It's not a misunderstanding. Luna's baby is his. Her voice trembled, a mix of anger and sorrow. Do you have any idea what that does to me? Luna was like a friend. I trusted her. She used to come here, laugh with me, talk about her future. And all the while, she was carrying my father's child. She pressed her hands to her face, trying to keep herself from breaking. The bold and the beautiful, every revelation was just the beginning of another storm. It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon in Los Angeles, sun-drenched, golden, deceptively peaceful, but in the Forrester mansion, the air was thick with tension, a storm brewing just beneath the surface of luxury and control. Ridge Forrester stood by the grand fireplace, his jaw clenched, his hands trembling slightly as he reread the DNA test results that had just landed in his hands. The words blurred before his eyes, though he'd already memorized every letter, every number, every devastating truth. Probability of paternity, 99.98%. His throat went dry. He had read plenty of shocking things in his life, love letters, betrayals, confessions, but nothing had ever shattered him like this. The room spun around him, and for the first time in years, Ridge felt completely unmoored. Deke Sharp. The name echoed in his mind like a cruel, mocking drumbeat. Deke, the man he had despised for years, the troublemaker, the outsider, the bad influence, the reckless drifter who had caused chaos wherever he went. Deke, who had dated women Ridge had loved, who had fought with him more times than he could count, who had always been a thorn in the side of the Forrester family. And now he was his son. The paper crumpled slightly in Ridge's shaking hand. He could still hear the voice of the doctor who'd handed him the results. Mr. Forrester, there's no doubt. The tests were run 3 times. Deke Sharp is your biological child. The words had sliced through him like glass. Now, standing alone in the mansion that had seen generations of love, betrayal, and scandal, Ridge felt the weight of every choice he'd ever made pressing down on him. His mind reeled back to the past, to a time he thought he'd buried, a wild summer decades ago, when he had been younger, more reckless, tangled in a forbidden affair with a woman who had disappeared without explanation. Her name, Lila, came back to him like a whisper from the grave. He remembered her smile, the way she had vanished one morning without a word, leaving only a note that said, "You have to trust me." He had never seen her again, never known that she had been pregnant. Ridge staggered back a step, gripping the edge of the desk for balance. The memories clashed with the present, Deke's face, his smirk, his sharp eyes, his defiance, and suddenly, Ridge saw it. The resemblance. How had he missed it all these years? The same stubborn jawline. The same fire in his gaze. The same pride that burned beneath anger. He wanted to deny it, to rip up the paper and pretend none of it was real. But deep down, he knew. He had known the moment he saw the test. The truth had been staring him in the face all along. Just then, the heavy double doors creaked open, and Brooke Logan stepped in. "Ridge," she said softly, her voice laced with concern. "You've been in here for hours. What's going on?" He didn't turn around. He couldn't. He was afraid that if he looked at her, the dam inside him would break. Brooke moved closer, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. She stopped when she saw the paper in his hand, her eyes narrowing. "What's that?" she asked gently. "Another Forrester secret?" Ridge finally turned, his face pale, his eyes red-rimmed. Brooke froze. She had seen Ridge angry, furious, even heartbroken, but never like this. "It's not a secret," he said hoarsely. "It's a nightmare." He handed her the paper, and she unfolded it slowly, scanning the contents. When she reached the bottom, her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Ridge." "Deke?" Ridge nodded numbly, his voice breaking. "He's my son, Brooke." My son. The words hung in the air like a curse. Brooke's eyes filled with disbelief. That can't be possible. There must be some mistake. There's no mistake. Ridge snapped, his composure finally cracking. They ran the tests 3 times. It's real. It's all real. He turned away, pressing his hands against his face as the reality consumed him. All these years. I judged him, despised him. I told people he wasn't good enough for anyone in this family. And now, he is this family. Brooke took a tentative step forward. Ridge, does Deke know? Ridge shook his head slowly. No. Not yet. And I don't even know how to tell him. How do I look at him and say, I'm your father? He'll never accept it. He'll think I'm lying. And maybe